Om Namo Baghavathe Shri Ramanaya. Hari Om. Delighted to be here yet again on another session of Ramana's Atma Vichara, sharing my reflections on this theme. Atma Vichara, inquiry of the self, should lead to Atma Jnana, the knowledge of the self. That is the whole purpose of Atma Vichara. Self-inquiry should lead to the knowledge of the self. And what the scriptures recommend that we should do in order to gain or attain this knowledge, Atma Jnana, knowledge of the self, is to negate what we are not. Meaning, whatever we think of ourselves is not us. It is about the body, mind, intellect. In short, Deha. So, Dehatma Bhava, meaning regarding or imagining myself in terms of this body, mind and intellect. And these thoughts have to be given up. So, the need to negate these thoughts about myself in terms of BMI and the things associated with this BMI, all the worldly things. So, this is the means through which self-inquiry is carried out and the self-knowledge is gained. Meaning, once the wrong notions are removed, these wrong notions are what is known as ignorance. So, once the ignorance is gone, the self-knowledge shines by itself. Self shines. Swayam Jyoti is what the scriptures talk about. In this regard, today would like to quote one of the verses by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi in Upadesa Saram, the 16th verse in Upadesa Saram. It goes as Drishyavaritam Chittam Atmana Chitva Darshanam Tattva Darshanam. This is the verse number 16 in Upadesa Saram, and the same text in Tamil called Upadesa Unthiyar, and there again the 16th verse, which goes as Velividayangalai vittu manam tan oliyuru ordale undipara unmai unarchiyam undipara. So, this is the verse which we are going to reflect on today, how it leads to the knowledge of the self. So, here let us look at the Sanskrit verse, Drishyavaritam Chittam. So, Drishyavaritam Chittam means the mind which is freed, which is liberated from what? From whatever is seen. Drishyam is seen. So, when you free your mind, when you liberate your mind from things which are seen. So, here seen, Drishyam is seen, but it has to be understood as anything what is known. The seen or Drishyam should not be limited to what you see using your eyes, but it also means all the other 4 senses. So altogether 5 senses. Anything what is known through the 5 senses or the mind or the intellect. So basically Drishyavaritam, anything what is known. When the mind is freed from anything what is known means, what do you mean by freeing the mind from anything what is known is that when you don't think of anything, when you don't think of anything, because anything what is known, then there is a thought. So our mind is preoccupied with many thoughts. So as we've been looking at, the root thought is I am so and so, and based on that then these thoughts branch off. So always our mind is preoccupied with many objects, and because mind is preoccupied with many objects and then the mind is full of all these thoughts, we are unable to know who we are. Meaning our attention is constantly on these thoughts and on these objects. So when our attention is on something, then there is a thought about that something. So if my attention falls on a tree, then I think of the tree. So when my attention falls on a sound, then there is a thought of that sound. So wherever my attention goes to, then there is a thought. And I say, I know this is a tree. I know this is a sound. So when my attention falls on something, then I say, I know this. Now here, what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says is, free your mind from anything what is known. Meaning, when we do not think of anything, that means when I do not give my attention to anything. So my attention does not go to the tree, my attention does not go to the sound, my attention does not go to the smell, anything. When my attention does not go to anything, my attention is with me. So my attention is with me. So now we have to understand this very carefully. When my attention is on something, then the knowledge of that something takes place. So when my attention is on the tree, the knowledge of the tree. My attention is on the sound, the knowledge of the sound. My attention is on a smell, then the knowledge of that smell, along with the thought. So now Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Drishyavaritam chittam, meaning when I don't allow my mind to engage itself on the thoughts of any of these things, whether it's heard, seen, smelled, tasted or felt, or emotions or intellectual things, when I do not allow my attention to fall on anything, what happens to my attention? My attention is with me. Earlier, when my attention is on something, then the knowledge of that takes place. So if my attention does not go out onto anything, then my attention is with me. And when my attention is with me, then that's the moment I become aware of who I am. So when my attention is with me, then that's the time I know myself. So this is the path to self-knowledge. So the path to self-knowledge is not trying to create thoughts, but emptying the mind of all the thoughts, so that my attention is not distracted onto everything and anything which is other than me. So when I withdraw my attention, when I retain my attention with me, then I become aware of me, awareness of myself. Not aware of anything specific. Anything specific is again thought of an object. So just being aware. So this awareness is not a conditioned awareness, meaning it is not being aware of anything specific, this or that. It's not being aware of anything finite. So this awareness is unconditioned, this awareness is infinite, and that is the state I am in, and that is the state which reflects who I am. So that is where I discover who I am. So that's why the stanza says, Drishyavaritam chittam, the mind which is freed from anything which is known, then chitva darshanam, then you get the vision of yourself as what? As awareness or consciousness, that you are conscious, you are aware, but you are not conscious of anything specific. You are not conscious of, you are not aware of anything specific. So it's unconditioned consciousness or unconditioned awareness. So sometimes in English they refer to it as pure consciousness or pure awareness. So when you are conscious, when you are aware, without saying I am aware of or I am conscious of A, B or C, where you are just conscious, you are just aware, where you are not trying to be aware of something specific, you are not trying to be conscious of something specific, where you remain in that state of awareness, remain in the state of consciousness which is not conditioned. That is what you are. So chitva darshanam, so that state of consciousness, unconditioned consciousness, unconditioned awareness takes place. That is your own self, that you know that you are aware of, you know that you are conscious of. You are conscious, you are aware. That is what scriptures talk about as the knowledge of the self. So the stanza goes on to say, Drishyavaritam chittam atmanah chitva darshanam. It also goes on to add tattva darshanam. That is the vision of the truth. Tattva, truth, darshanam, vision. So you become aware of what is truth. You know what is truth. You experience what is truth. Interestingly, here Bhagavan has used the word tattva darshanam. Tattva, the word meaning of tattva is truth. Then the question arises, okay, you become aware of the truth. Now tell me, what is that truth? So the answer to that is there in that word itself, the word tattva. The word tattva, if you look at it, you break it, tat tvam. Tat is that, tvam is you. So in a way you can say the word tattvam says that you are that truth. You are not looking for some truth, something other than you. You are that truth. Actually, the word tattvam is a shortened form of the famous Mahavakya Tattvamasi. You are that, Tattvamasi. So that shortened with two words, tat, that, you. So what you considered as that is nothing but your own self. That is the truth. So if you ask what is the truth, undeniable truth, what is the absolute truth, there is only one truth, that you are that self. So tattva darshanam. So you realize what the truth is, and that truth is nothing but your own self. So this is what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is trying to say in that 16th stanza, that when we free our minds from the thoughts of anything which is known. So anything which is known means anything for which we have a word to refer to. So you say a tree, you say a desk, you say a chair, like that. We use so many words and our thoughts are based on those. So anything and everything what is known, anything and everything for which you have a word to refer to, all of that are known. So Drishyavaritam, meaning freeing your mind from anything what is known, means when you are not thinking of any of these things. Any of these things means not only physical objects, even there are subtle objects, actions, feelings, ideas, knowledge, all of those are drishyam only. All of them are known. So when we free our mind from anything and everything which is known, anything and everything for which we have a word to refer to, when we free our mind from all of that, then the mind reaches a state where it is not conditioned by anything, unconditioned mind. It's not finite. So that is what is referred to as consciousness or awareness. So freeing our mind from anything which is known leads to mind becoming unconditioned. That is what is referred to as chit or consciousness or awareness in the scriptures. So then you are experiencing who you are without any thoughts. You are experiencing who you are without any thoughts, meaning without the senses, without the mind, without the intellect, still you are experiencing who you are. So that is the vision what is referred to here by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi as Chittva Darshanam. So that is Atmanaha Chittva Darshana, that means your own consciousness, unconditioned consciousness. So then you come to know that you are that unconditioned consciousness, that is yourself, and that is the truth. There is no other greater truth than that, Tattva Darshanam. So this is what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says in that 16th stanza of Upadesa Saram. And same thing, what is said in Tamil, which I quoted earlier in Upadesa Unthiyar, Velividayangalai vittu, meaning when you leave all the external things. Now here the most important thing is Velividayangal translated as external. So when you leave them, so when you talk about external, we have to be very careful in interpreting this word external. Normally when we say external, anything outside this body we may regard it as external. But here the word external is not merely referring to anything and everything which is outside the body. The word external or Velividayangal, what it refers to is anything which is other than you is external. Anything which is other than you is Velividayam, external things. Anything other than you means the body is external to you, mind is external to you, intellect is external to you, senses are external to you, and the rest of the world is external. Everything is external. So velividayangalai vittu, meaning when you leave the external things, meaning when you leave everything and anything, when you leave them out, velividayangalai vittu, then what happens? Manam than oliyuru ordale. Then your mind becomes aware of the fact that it is the light of consciousness by which everything is known. So you become aware that you are the light of consciousness by which everything else is known. So that you experience. So that is what he is talking about here as manam than oliyuru ordale. That light of, you are that light of consciousness, he says. And then he says, that is what unmai unarchiya, knowing the truth. So knowing the truth is that you are the light of consciousness by which everything is known. So when you experience that, then you experience who you are. And when you experience who you are, that is what is known as knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana. So Atma Jnana, or the knowledge of the self, is not a thought construct. It's not something which can be captured in thought. It is something which is experienced as your own self, without the intermediary of the senses, mind or intellect. When you experience it as your own self, that experience is known as knowing the self or knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana. So this is the way where Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has indicated how we should conduct this Atma Vichara, which will lead to the knowledge of the self. In this Upadesa Unthiyar or Upadesa Saram, where the traditional scriptures, they talk about negation, neti, neti. So the neti, neti, the negation aspect of it is what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is indicating here as drishya varitam. Drishya varitam, when you become free means you negate it and you leave them out. Velividayangalai vittu, that means you are negating everything and anything what is known. So when that negation takes place, and when you are left with nothing more to negate, only you remain. And when only you remain, you are aware of the fact that you are there. You are conscious of the fact that you are there. And that is what is known as Atma Jnana or self-knowledge. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.